The biggest catalyst is people starting to see the potential that is Mocoa. So the best way to get eyeballs, it appears, is putting out consistent and solid drill results. So that is going to continue to be the significant catalyst for the company.
Hello to viewers tuning into Assay TV. We're glad to be joining Libero Copper and Gold in this edition, and Libero is a leading mineral exploration company with a collection of copper deposits throughout the Americas. So I'm speaking with Ian Harris, President and CEO of the company. Ian, great to be speaking with you at this important time.
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. So excited to be here today.
Great. So for viewers who might be new to the Libero Copper and Gold story, could we just start with a brief overview of the company and talk about your key projects just as a summary to start?
Sure. As a summary, the company really came to itself of what it looks like today in starting in January of 2012. So just a little bit over a year ago, where we recognized the importance of copper, that this potential supply and demand gap, the complete lack of quality assets, and really spent a lot of time acquiring adding some additional copper assets to the books, all that have the potential to become future mines. So and started to divert, but 90% of the world's copper is produced from open pit copper porphyry mines. So those are the type of projects we were looking for. So first of all, it's the commodity. We're focused on copper. We have 3 significant assets, one in British Columbia, Canada, one in San Juan, Argentina, and one in Putumayo, Colombia. So that is the second component, is jurisdictions. San Juan was ranked recently by Fraser Institute #1. If you rank the province as a country, #1 in South America. Colombia is #2, and obviously everybody knows British Columbia. So the next is geology, and maybe we'll be able to dive into it, but all of them have the potential there to become future mines, right? And that's our focus, is focusing on putting our investment to ensure we're de-risking them and making sure we're checking the boxes that they have the potential to become future mines. And next is experience. We've built an amazing team around the projects that all have the experience, not only in the discovery and the exploration, but also de-risking projects all the way through operation, including myself at Mirador in Ecuador, Cobre Panama, Antamina, Mount Milligan, Santa Rosa. Lots of experience in what it takes to take projects always to the finish line. We're very well financed. We just raised in January 8.6 million, including a strategic partner in Anglo-Asian, a operator. And I think that we have overall the right strategy, as I explained, focusing on projects not only just on the exploration, but also being able to advance them.
Excellent. Let's hone in then on the big news around the Makoa Project, which is in Colombia. You made some high-grade intercepts there. Could we just start with the background perhaps to the Makoa Project first to get an idea of the situation? Because this is a great porphyry belt with a record of success regionally. Maybe we could start on that and then go into some of the actual results.
So let me take a teeny step back. And really, Makoa was the project that started the conversation of when I joined, also in January of 2021, because I was previously Senior Vice President and Country Manager for Corriente Resources, and took the Mirador project post-discovery resource estimate through feasibility sale, stayed on 1 year afterwards and got that project into the start of construction. It went on to be the first large-scale mining operation in Ecuador, and it was in the Jurassic porphyry belt. The same porphyry belt, geology doesn't respect boundaries. So, in Putumayo, in Colombia, we're in the exact same Jurassic porphyry belt. And this porphyry belt, not just Mirador, but Mirador Norte, Pananza, San Carlos, and now very, I think on the buzzword today, Warintza of Solaris, right? They're all billion-plus-ton projects. They're some of the biggest projects in the planet. So it's a very prolific belt, but in the Colombian side, it's really undeveloped. So this project was last drilled by B2Gold in 2012, which obviously was a gold focused, and we kind of spun it out, acquired it, and that was kind of the birth back in 2018 of the company. And so really it was already, we did a resource estimate, it was 636 million tons. It would already contain 4.6 billion pounds of copper, over 500 million pounds of moly. World moly production is 600 million pounds per year. So that gives the perspective. This was already a project of size and scale, already had beautiful intersects in it, really, drilled kind of systematically along a ridge line, which left a lot of areas that obviously need a lot more information and area to grow, but it wasn't a project that the world knew about. So we really spent most of 2001, actually all of 2001, putting the pieces into place to restart this project sustainably, adding some additional ground and 100,000 square kilometers of ground on that same Jurassic porphyry, because we knew this moment was coming. So when we took the decision to start drilling, we just finished our first hole. It was over 1,235 meters, which obviously is very significant for the company. So when we got the first 450 meters in, we knew we had to release it to market. It was sick, we just couldn't sit on it, right? It had to be released. And it included, to give it an idea of the quality, 251 meters at a 1.13 copper equivalent, or 0.75% copper. And the whole, the entire hole isn't too far behind. It's very consistent, very broad intersections, and it's only the start. And it's already producing numbers that are some of the best projects in the world are putting out. So when we look, and I'm sorry if I'm getting long-winded, as I alluded to, the world needs more copper, right? It's whether it's, there's predictions of 5 billion tons, or sorry, 4 million tons or 8 million tons by 2030. That's only 8 years away. The 10 largest mines in the world produce 6 million tons per year. So we have to replace in 8 years the 10 largest projects in the world. So we need projects of large scale, large size to be available. They're not really out there. And we knew that was what was required. Prove that Mocoa, it's just in its infancy. It's already big, but it's got plenty of room to grow and put out some significant numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Indeed, the situation for big copper deposits is certainly there. But how are you going to scale this? Talk us through the next steps within your drill program and your strategy to really scale this resource.
So interestingly, March 1st, Matt Wunder joined us as Vice President of Exploration of the company. And he brings an incredible experience developing all sorts of intrusive deposits, including porphyries, and included his time in Miranda as part of the exploration team and development team that took that project all the way into operation. And he brings a very disciplined regional approach looking at a specific deposit. So we are really looking at a very disciplined approach on how to not only expand the existing resource, but also look that we're seeing that there's the potential of expansion all around it and nearby. And because the Jurassic Porphyry Belt is famous for its clustering, identifying additional porphyry centers that are nearby to the deposit. So it's a little combination of everything. We're de-risking the deposit as we convert. We're continuing to expand and also looking at new targets because we're seeing legs as a minimum that this project could get over the 1 billion ton mark, which is a really critical point. We're not too far away there, but it has a lot of grooves. So a very disciplined approach in how we're going to be advancing the project in terms of resource development, and also adding the additional components in terms of engineering and social and economic and everything as this project advances. So a very nice disciplined approach that pretty much we're going to be drilling nonstop anywhere between 3 and 5 years, right? So very disciplined, and then accelerating the activities as there's capacity is being built locally, which is also a key component for us to ensure that locally we're maximizing the benefits, and that includes during the exploration phase.
Yep, excellent. What would you say could be the top risks at the moment for the exploration phase? What are the risks on your horizon? Obviously, mining is inherently risky in all aspects, but it's just good for you to sort of highlight to investors where you see potential risks and also how you're addressing that.
So I think what most people maybe understand or potentially understand is the biggest risk in exploration and developing of projects. The number one that kills more projects than anything is exploration, right? Geological risk, right? And that's the very nice thing about Mocoa. I mean, it's already a significant project that that even if we didn't add a pound of copper, it's still a very attractive project. So that is a significant one. The other one is, I alluded to it, but we have directors that took Cobre Panama all the way to the start of construction, or built Mount Milligan, or myself taking Mirador all the way in the same region. These are projects that are very close. They're the closest operating copper mines to Mocoa, right? So a lot of it is, the inherent risk that you see a lot of projects having issues, then they get stopped or they can't move forward. There's some significant projects that are crossing multiple countries, or in high, near glaciers, or, there's all these environmental components. So our philosophy is maintaining extremely strong relationships locally, but real ones, right? Not fabricated ones or marketing moments, right? When we just had a few employees and we had the first geologist show up to the project and they needed safety boots, we found a way to make those safety boots locally. When the workers needed uniforms, the first 20 pairs, we made them locally, right? We not only did our shopping locally, but we tried to find the farms that would supply the produce to really create real relationships. So that as the project grows, right, there's that real connection. And then the other one, instead of just, we are using portable drills to minimize not only the exploration footprint, collecting rainwater as our drill water, but with these modular drills obviously create a lot more work than using a helicopter, right? So, but it's not just the workers. We also, got lots of feedback that they wanted to make sure that they're professionals and their children had an opportunity. So we now have geologists, project engineers, environmental, social, environmental safety, accounting from the local area, where today 95% of our workers, both professional and unskilled, are from the local area. And as I alluded to, and we want to make sure as we're adding drills, those drillers are being trained and they're coming from the local population, so that we're putting a very solid base. And that drives you reputationally, nationally, and it sustains political will, right? So that we see those risks and we put a plan so that when any of those things happen, that we're prepared for it, and that we're really solid, and that we have the ship that's not going to sink.
Excellent, very good. Okay, let's focus on the company financials. You did initially touch on that when we did the introduction, but could you hone in a little bit more on the company financials? Now, you mentioned Anglo Asian as an operator partner coming on board, and recent capital raise. Just for investors interested, could you go into a bit more depth there, please?
Yeah, sure. So we raised $8.3 million in January, and really for me, that was to earmark 100% have completely covered Mocoa exploration expenses and total expenses in Colombia for an entire year, right? So we did believe that obviously that we'd have some sort of a re-rating during, as exploration moved on, but it doesn't matter. I want to make sure that entire budget was secured and could cover all overhead for the year. So that covers us completely for Mocoa. And then we do have a significant amount of warrants out, so that the additional projects, including Esperanza in Argentina and Big Red, which is a seasonal drill program, which will be coming up actually soon, that we have the ability to finance those, but off of a solid base. Again, I like working where, maybe it's fast, maybe it's slow, et cetera, but you're working always consistently off of a solid base to ensure that your projects are being advanced. We have 63 million shares out, 91 million on a fully diluted basis. So a nice tight share structure. Liquidity before the last couple of days was about 200,000 shares today. I know that's increased dramatically. We have the strategic partnership with Anglo Asian, which is an operator and brings that perspective to the table when we look at advancing projects and applying what kind of strategies we're going to be working with. Management has participated in all the financings, which over the last 2 years almost have been all at 50 cents. So everybody's kind of all on the same, the same level. And then B2 Gold continues to have about 3% of the company from the original acquisition of Mocoa. So I think we're in a really, really good place. The strategies that have been applied are now creating significant value. And I think it will just continue from that point.
Excellent. So what would be some of the other catalysts on the horizon for Libero this year? Could you talk about some key milestones that might be coming up either within the drill program or across the year?
I'm going to be frank, right? We have spent the entire time over the last period focusing mostly on our strategy to advance our individual projects, right? I think that even today, considering the size and scale of Mocoa, right, we are still extremely undervalued. So the biggest way of creating value is getting more eyes on the story. And let me just do a simple comparison, right? Solaris' Warintza just put out its maiden resource estimate. This is not maiden, sorry. So it's an update of the original. They did something very similar to us. They acquired the project, they did a resource estimate, and then they spent the last 18 months drilling on that project to create value. And they came up after 18 months with their initial with an updated resource estimate. And in summary, it was about 1.5 billion tons. And they also came up with a smaller conceptual higher grade pits that would be a potential starter pit. And I did the calculation. We put out our drill results with much lower metal prices. They used we used $3, they used $3.50, we used $10 moly, they used $15 moly. If I apply their exact same prices, our resource at their cutoff, which I think was a 0.3, it's almost identical in grade. Their 0.6 pit, identical in grade, almost identical in grade. The only difference is at that cutoff, I think we're about 500 million tons. We're about 30 to 40% of their size, but we have completely room to grow. We're today, over $50 million today, but they're worth $1.5 billion. So I think the biggest catalyst is people starting to see the potential that is Mocoa. So the best way to get eyeballs, it appears, is putting out consistent and solid drill results. So that is going to continue to be the significant catalyst for the company. The other catalyst is Esperanza. I won't go on to it too deeply, but we're currently working on reactivation. I actually just came from Argentina after a meeting with the Minister of Mines in San Juan on getting that project restarted. I think there's a lot of people that are very emotional and excited about seeing that project advancing forward. And that could be kind of a white swan event, additional catalyst for the company. Because in summary, between Big Red in British Columbia, Mocoa in Colombia, or Esperanza in Argentina, all of them are company building style projects. We've really done a good job acquiring some significant, attractive projects in our portfolio. And I think that, soon, I'm a mining engineer, so I'm not a markets or banker, but eventually everybody's going to realize what's happening in the copper space, how critical of a metal it is, and the difficulties in providing a supply that even before the next demand was coming up in electric vehicles and decarbonization of the world's economies was expected to be extremely stressed. So it's only going to be more stressed, and it's a critical metal for the development of economies, industrialization, electrification. And I think that we are very well positioned and will be way ahead of the pack when that starts to happen.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Well, it's very compelling and excellent results so far. So, Ian, thanks very much for giving us a snapshot of the company and telling us all about Mocoa and the excellent position you're in right now.
Thank you, too. And I guess it should be important to say, that we've only put out the first 450 meters of this hole that we're expecting over the next short period of time, because we've seen a very attractive turnaround in Colombia that we'll be putting out soon, the remaining over 700 meters of that hole, so all the way down to 1,235. And I apologize because I know we're saying goodbye, but that length of hole, there's very few projects in the world that can demonstrate mineralization of over such large intersects. I think would also be a significant qualifier and catalyst to really, we got a half a check mark, and we're going to put the full check mark on potentially with this full hole. So really happy to continue to share the story as it advances, and I'm really happy and excited to be here today.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Ian. Look forward to catching an update as soon as those drill hole results come back.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.